Hi, my name is Meg Stratton, and I'm here to lead you through some gentle yoga. So go ahead and set yourself up with some blankets, maybe a pillow nearby, and a mat or a towel works fine. Just find yourself a comfortable space that you can practice in. We're going to start out on the knees in a child's pose variation. We're going to have the hips back towards the heels. You can kind of decide if you want to have your knees further apart or closer together, see what feels best in your body. And we're going to drape our upper body over the thighs here and rest your head down onto something, either the ground, maybe you take that pillow or that blanket and roll it up so you can rest your forehead down. You can rest your head on your hands. Your hands can extend out long. Or it might feel better to have your hands by your feet for this first pose. If being on your knees today doesn't work for you, you can also come into the same position on your back with your knees into your chest, making the same shape with the body. Take a deep breath here and notice how the breath moves in the body in this position. Notice where there might be some restriction to the breath. And notice where the body expands to make space for that breath. Are there any muscles you can soften to allow your next breath to get a little more expansive? Allow your exhale to take all the time that it needs. Follow your exhale all the way out to its completion. Clearing out every last molecule of that last breath before starting to take in the next inhale. Let's take 3 more breaths like this. After your third breath out, reach your hands forward out in front of you. Press down through all 10 fingers and all 4 corners of your palms. Grip down there and then pull yourself forward, leading with your heart. Let your belly hang low, your gaze comes forward, and as you exhale, push the ground away and reach your heart up through your shoulder blades. And then drawing your hips back towards your heels. When you're ready to inhale, pull yourself forward really actively again, reaching your heart forward, letting your belly hang low. Exhale to push into the ground, rounding the back, and then draw your hips back with your navel still pulled in towards your spine. Start to find your own flow, your own rhythm here. Inhaling to pull you forward. Exhale, pushing the ground away, lifting the heart through the back body. Creating lots of length along the front side of the body as you inhale, and lots of length along the back side of the body as you exhale, rounding. Let's just take 3 more rounds of breath in this way. Next time you pull yourself forward. Exhale and just find a neutral spine. Turn your gaze down towards the ground. We're going to step that right foot out to the side, toes pointing forwards, that direction. Reach that right hand up, press the left hand into the ground. Press down to that left hand to rebound out through the right fingertips. Take an inhale and widen your wingspan. Breathe into that space around your shoulder, around your heart. One more expansive breath in. And then we'll invite in some movement. As you exhale, take that right hand and thread it underneath that left elbow and knee without touching the ground. As you inhale, we'll untwist again, opening back up. Exhaling to twist. Gaze follows. Inhaling to open back up. Following your own breath's rhythm. I'm starting to draw some big circles with that arm. Decide which direction. Just make the circles really big. Maybe your gaze follows. If that hurts your neck at all, keep your gaze in the same direction that your collarbone is facing. And switching directions. Next time your hand circles around towards the ground, place it there. We're going to turn the right toes out to the side now. Bend that right knee so the knee tracks over the right toes. And just lean into that hip stretch here. You might keep your hands on the ground, or you might take that right hand and push your knee away from you and lean your shoulders away. Take a couple more breaths here. Send your breath down to the pelvic floor. Imagine you had lungs that could expand there. And then contract again as you exhale. Take one more inhale. And then as you exhale, straightening that right leg, walking the hands back underneath the shoulders. We're going to flex that right foot, lift it up. Inside of the ankle pointing down, hovering here. Take another deep breath in. As you exhale, take that foot as far over on the left side of your mat, the opposite side of your mat that you can. And then turn to look out over that left shoulder at your heel. Lengthening that stretch along the right side of the body. One more inhale, and on exhale, bend that right knee behind the left knee. Draw your hips back until you feel some sensation. You might start keeping both knees grounded. See what that feels like. Or maybe you drop your hips back a little bit more and let that front knee come up a little bit. See how that changes things. One more deep breath in. And on exhale, walk your hands forward again. Uncross that right leg. And we're just going to take a few barrel rolls with the chest. Kind of like your chest or your spine is like a jump rope. Winding around. You can bend your elbows. You can wind your head around a little bit with this. And switch directions. spiraling the spine back into a neutral position, stepping that left foot out now to the side, pressing down with that right hand and reaching that left hand skyward. Taking a few breaths here. Finding that expansion across the chest, finding that reach with the fingertips, finding that press into the ground. One more inhale here. And as you exhale, start to find your twisting flow. Exhale to reach underneath that right elbow and knee. And inhale to open. Move with your own breath's rhythm. Next time you open, find your circles, moving in either direction, just big circles. Exploring what it feels like to move today. Switching directions, and taking note if one side feels a little different than the other. Take one more circle around. Circle that hand back down to the ground. Press into both hands. Press into that right knee and flex that left foot. Lift it up off the ground. Holding here, breathing here. Navel to spine. One more inhale. As you exhale, take that foot as far over the right side of your mat that you can. Turn your toes under, press the ball of the foot down. Look out over that right shoulder and lean into that left hip. One more inhale. As you exhale, lose that curve in the spine. Bend that left knee behind the right and draw your hips back slowly. Starting with both knees remaining grounded. And then maybe you start to lift that right knee and draw your hips a little further back. Send your breath to expand into your belly. And then walk your hands forward. Ground down to that right knee. Place both feet on the ground, and we're going to lift up that left leg. Reach it back out to that left side. Turn the toes out to the left, and then track your knee over the toes. Sinking into the hips, maybe you push your hand into that left knee to open here. Pushing that knee out towards the pinky side of the foot. One more inhale. And then exhale, walk your hands back into center, straighten that leg, walk both knees back underneath you. Almost like you're a fish swimming in water. Kind of send your hips side to side, swaying side to side. As if you had a really heavy, fluffy tail that you were wagging through the water. Find center with your hips. You're going to turn the toes under and back. Lift the knees to hover them here. And then we're going to reach the heels towards the ground at the same time that you reach your chest towards your thighs. Lifting the hips. Reaching the tailbone away from the crown of the head. Let the crown of the neck, or the crown of the head move around a little bit to release tension in the neck. Find a little bit of movement here. Maybe you bend one knee and reach the opposite heel down. Maybe you bend the elbows. Maybe you circle the hips. Take one more breath of movement. And then find your down dog and hold. Breathing here. Take one more inhale. And then we're going to bring our knees down. Bring your chest towards the ground, bending your elbows back towards your ribs, and bring your chin to the ground and straighten your back body out. With no weight in the hands, pressing down with the tops of the feet, squeeze your thighs together. Inhale, reach your heart forward and roll your shoulders back. In a non-supported cobra. Exhale, lower down. 2 more breaths like this. Inhale, reach, radiate your heart forward, no weight in the hands. Exhale down. One more time, lifting here. Press your hands into the ground. See if you can get 1 more inch of lift with a little assistance from your hands. Exhale, lower down. Press down with the tops of the feet, the knees, and all 4 corners of the palms, and push yourself back up. And then back into your child's pose. Hips back towards the heels. Take a moment to wiggle the hips side to side. Maybe you rock your forehead side to side a little bit. From here, we're going to turn the toes under and back again. Lift your hips, find your downward facing dog. We're going to lift up that right leg. Look out for your drum. Reach your left heel down, reach your chest towards your thighs, and see if you can lift that leg a little higher. Exhale, curl your knee forward towards your nose, lift your navel, hold. Inhale, reach back out. One more time, exhale, curling, lifting, and then place your foot between your hands. Bring that back knee down. Bring your arms up in line with the spine, and then bring the arms and the spine up at the same time. Taking several breaths here, making sure that knee doesn't come in front of the ankle. Bringing that right hand down. And lifting slightly with that left hand. Maybe you look out underneath the armpit up towards the ceiling. Maybe reach a little bit over towards the right. Take another deep breath in. Exhale, both arms lift. Inhale, sit up taller. Exhale, frame that front foot. And step it back. Come into your plank on your knees. We're going to lower down, sending the elbows straight back. Lower down your chest. Lower down your chin. And then straighten out your spine. Reach your heart forward. Find your cobra. And then find your way back to your downward facing dog. Either through child's pose or coming out through a push-up. Find your way there. Take another breath. And on your next inhale, lift that left foot up behind you. Reach that right heel down. Reach your chest towards your right thigh. See if you can lift that left heel a little higher. Lift a little further away from your head. Take one more inhale. Exhale, curl the knee forward. Lift your navel. Hold. Inhale, reach it back out. One more time. Exhale, round, lift, hold, and then plant that foot. Bring that back knee down. Bring your arms up in the same line as the spine. And then bring everything up in one long line. And breathe. Option to bring that left hand down. Reaching that right hand higher, maybe a little bit to the left. Maybe your gaze goes out towards the armpit or up. Take one more inhale. Exhale, coming back to center. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, frame that front foot. Step the foot back, find your plank on your knees, or turn the toes under. Find your full plank. Either find your knees, chest, chin onto your belly, or lower yourself down through your Chaturanga Dandasana into your Cobra, or maybe pressing up onto just the hands and the tops of the feet into your upward facing dog. Reaching your heart forward, releasing the core muscles to keep your thighs up off the ground. And finding your way back to your downward facing dog. Taking several breaths there. Take one more good sighing breath. And inhale that right foot up behind you. Exhale, curl the knee forward, plant the foot between the hands. And we're going to come up for our warrior two. Windmilling the hands up. Breathing here. Inhaling to lengthen your spine, lengthening your wingspan. Exhaling to sit a little deeper. Make sure the shoulders are directly over the hips. The knee doesn't track over the ankle. We're going to press into that front foot. Lifting up, straightening that front leg, bring your arms up. Creating more length, and as you exhale, sinking back in. 2 more times we'll do that. Inhaling out. Exhaling in. Inhaling out. Exhaling in. Inhale, hold. Exhale, warrior one, bringing both hands forward and up. Shoulders sink down. Navel to spine, front ribs knitting in towards the back ribs. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, framing that front foot, lifting that back heel, stepping back to find your vinyasa or a rest in child's pose, whatever your body's craving. Maybe you take this time to practice your one-legged vinyasa, lifting that right leg first, lowering down into your back bend, and then find your way back into your downward facing dog. We're all meeting back in downward facing dog. Finding your breath. Take one more good sighing breath. And inhale that left leg up behind you. Exhale, curl the knee forward with control. Plant the foot. Bring that back heel down. Then windmill the arms up. Sinking the hips down. Shoulders directly over the hips. And pressing the palms down as if there's something underneath them resisting that press. Press down into all 4 corners of that left foot to lift yourself out of this. Straightening that front leg, bringing your arms up. Bringing some more of that length with you as you exhale. Sinking back in, warrior two. 2 more breaths like this. Take one more inhale and hold. As you exhale, find your warrior one. Sinking the hips down, sinking the shoulder blades down your back, palms towards each other. Lengthen through the low back. Take one more inhale. Exhale, frame that front foot. Lift that light right heel. And we're going to lift that left foot back behind you. Maybe taking a rest. Maybe knees, chest, chin. Maybe moving through a 3-legged vinyasa. When you're ready, Coming forward, lowering down into your back bend, and then back to your downward facing dog. Take one more inhale here. And as you exhale, we're going to step the feet out wide so they come off of your mat. Walk your hands back and come into a forward fold here with the legs wide. Let your head be really heavy. You might even swing side to side a little bit. Maybe grab hold of opposite elbows. Maybe making figure 8 shapes. My glasses. Take one more inhale here. And then we'll heel toe the feet in so they're parallel and hip distance apart. Take an inhale coming up halfway. Hands to the shins, gazes down, spine and legs come straight. As you exhale, bend your knees, drape yourself down over your thighs. 2 more breaths like that. Inhale to inflate the spine and the backs of the legs. Exhale, melt. 1 more. Exhale, melt. Slowly, taking 2 or 3 breaths, make your way up to standing by rolling up, stacking one vertebrae on top of the next. So keep that bend in the knee. Slowly start to round up. Letting your hands and your arms be really heavy. Your head is the last to rise. Once it does, send your shoulders up, back, and down. Take a few deep breaths here. Reaching up through the crown of your head, pressing down through all 4 corners of the feet and all 10 toes to help you stand up taller. The triceps are spinning forward as the biceps spin back, so you're open across the chest. Heel to the feet, so their big toes are touching now. You're going to inhale the arms wide and high. And exhale to draw your hips back, sit down into your chair. Take an inhale, lengthen your spine in both directions. Release your glutes if you can, and sit back a little deeper. Bring your hands to your heart. Reach your hips back like you're reaching for a chair that's just maybe an inch further back behind you. Take 1 more inhale. As you exhale, hook that right elbow on your left knee. Notice if your knees have moved. And try and keep them where they are. Pressing that right elbow down so you can open across the chest. Pushing that left hand into that right hand to help with that opening. Bring all the weight into that left foot. Lift up that right heel. And then step that foot back. Twisting lunge. Bend that knee quite a bit. That left knee quite a bit. Release the hands and the arms and touch that right hand to the ground or onto a prop. And we're going to lift that right hand up behind you. Extend that left arm out to the side or up towards the ceiling for Twisted Warrior. Twisted Warrior 3. Take 1 more inhale. As you exhale, bring that left hand down. Bring that right foot in next to the left. Bend your knees quite a bit.
and roll up to standing. Rolling the shoulders up, back, and down once you get there.
Take a big sigh and breath. Let that first side go. Noticing any difference in sensation from side to side in the body. Noticing the heartbeat if you can. And using your breath to slow it down. When you're ready, bring your big toes to touch again. We'll inhale the arms wide and high. And exhale to sit back in your chair. Squeezing the thighs towards each other. Releasing the glutes. Reach your hips back a little more. That chair is just maybe an inch or so further back. Take another breath. Lengthen the spine in both directions. One more exhale. Sit a little deeper. Bring your hands to your heart. Take an inhale. Keep the knees where they are. Don't let them shift. And this time we're going to take that left elbow and hook it over the right. Press into that left knee to help open across the chest. Press that right hand down into that left hand. Bring the weight more into that right foot and lift that left heel. Step that left foot back. Twisted lunge. Getting really grounded here in that right foot, bending that knee even more. Releasing the hands. Release that left hand to the ground, right hand skyward as you lift that left foot back behind you. Reaching with the fingertips, reaching with the heel, reaching with the crown of the head. Take another deep inhale. And then as you exhale, untwist. Bring that foot back in, next to the right. Bend your knees. Roll yourself up. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. And take several breaths here. We're going to step the feet out really wide now, toes a little wider than the heels. Coming down into a nice deep goddess pose. And a little bit of shifting side to side, maybe some figure eights with the hips. Bring both hands onto the thighs, press down to lengthen your spine. We're going to reach that right shoulder forward and that left shoulder back. Maybe your gaze goes up over that left shoulder, pressing that right hand into the inside of that right thigh. Take another inhale and switch. Lengthening in center and switching sides. Next time you inhale, coming all the way back up through center, turning those right toes forward, those left toes a little bit further out. Reach your arms out, send your hips to the right as you reach to the left. Reach as far as you can first, then keep your upper body exactly where it is, and just bring your hand down for some support on your leg or onto a prop. Extending that right arm skyward, and just take some deep breaths. Let the breath take up space within your body. See where you can soften and shift as you exhale. Take one more inhale.
And then as if you're grabbing a rope up above you with your right hand, pull yourself up with core control. Reach both arms out, both toes forward, then right toes out. Reach as far as you can over to that right side. Reach, 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 reach. Once you can't reach anymore, just bring that arm down to support you. Spiral that left arm skyward. And just enjoy the breath here. Let the inhale take up space within the body. Let your exhale fill up the room around you. Take one more inhale. And as you're grabbing hold of that rope up above you, pull yourself back up. Both toes forward. Take an inhale here in star pose. And as you exhale, fold forward. There's another great opportunity for some rocking. Maybe you move your upper body towards one leg and then the other. Maybe you explore that straightening the spine and that folding. Or if headstand is in your practice, this could be a great time to come into your headstand. Just find a little bit of movement, find some stillness, find your breath. If you're in your headstand, go ahead and safely start to make your way back down with control. You've gone to one side, make sure you do the other. We're going to heel toe the feet in a little closer, still wider than the hip width apart. Heels a little closer than your toes. And we're going to sink the hips down into a yogic squat or malasana. And you can decide, you might bring your hips down and say, whoa, my feet are still too far apart, or they're too close together. You might decide you want to put a blanket underneath your heels to help ground them. Your hands can stay on the ground for some support. You can even bring your hips onto a chair or onto a prop. If it feels good in your body, bring your hands to your heart. And breathe. Send your breath down to the low belly. Send your breath down to caress the pelvic floor. Sending expansion down into the pelvic floor on inhale. And then initiating your exhale with a slight contraction of the pelvic floor. Kind of like a kegel. Initiating that exhale with a slight contraction. Take 2 more breaths here. And from here, we'll come into a seated position. You can use your hands to support you. You can come up with your hips first before doing so. We're going to bring our legs out wide. Sitting up really tall. You might even sit up on the edge of a blanket or a bolster or pillow. Sitting up really tall here, flexing your toes. Making sure that the toes and the knees always point upwards. They might have a tendency to turn in. Keep them pointed up to protect your knees. From here, we're going to slide that right hand out towards that right foot until you feel some sensation along that left side. And then float that left hand up towards the ceiling. If you want a little more, you can bring your hand to the ground in front of your leg or a little further out. You might explore some shoulder circles here. Switching directions.
Some of your hand circles around. Bring it to the ground in front of your leg. And then frame that leg with your hands. One hand on either side. Take an inhale and reach your heart towards the toes and your toes back towards your heart. As you exhale, round your forehead down. And then use your hands to bring yourself back up. Getting ready for the other side, sitting up really tall. And then sliding that left hand out towards the left ankle. Maybe you bring your hand to the ground in front of your leg. Floating that right hand up. Maybe enjoying the stillness or maybe exploring some circling, some movement. Moving in both directions. Next time your arm circles around. Circle it down to the ground in front of that left leg. Frame that leg. Take an inhale, inflate your spine, reach your heart towards your toes and your toes back towards your heart. As you exhale, round. And then walking the hands back up. Coming back up through center. We're going to bring that right heel in towards your hips. And you might stay just like this and start to turn your hips or your shoulders towards the direction that knee is pointing. If you want to move a little deeper in this pose, you can move into pigeon, turning the top of the foot and the thigh down behind you, so the whole body is facing towards the right. You can stay upright here. You can find a bind if you'd like, reaching back for that back leg. Maybe you reach back with the opposite arm. Maybe you find a little more restorative version of this pose, folding forward, resting on the forearms. Take 3 more breaths here. Walking your hands back in, sitting back upright, rolling onto that right hip, and then turning those left toes back upright, bringing both legs out wide. Taking a moment to feel that difference in sensation from side to side. And when you're ready, turning to the left, bending that left ankle in towards the hips. Maybe keeping that right leg out extended, or maybe you extend that leg back behind you, turning the leg under. Staying upright if you'd like, breathing. You can reach back for your foot with either arm, finding a bind, or maybe you come forward, resting on the forearms. And walking your hands back in, coming back upright, coming to face forward. Just coming into any position that's comfortable for you. Maybe sitting on a pillow if you'd like. We're going to do a little bit of breath work before making our way to the ground. This is a pranayama practice called Nadi Shodhana, where we're doing alternating nostril breathing, where you physically close up one nostril so you're only breathing through one at a time. You inhale through one. At the top of your inhale, you switch and cover the other nostril so you're always exhaling through a new side. Inhale through that same side after you exhale and then switch. So always at the top of your inhale, you switch. Your hand can be set up where you have either your 2 peace fingers resting on your forehead, on your third eye point, or your hands can just fold into your palm, whatever feels more natural to you. You're going to take your ring finger and your thumb gently placed over your nostrils without closing them just yet. And this could be either hand. Your other hand can be there to support that hand, and if at any point your arm gets fatigued, just switch to arms. So when you're ready, Close your eyes. Mental gaze up at that third eye point. Closing one nostril, inhale through the other. At the top of your inhale, close the other nostril and switch, exhaling through a new side. Inhaling, switch, exhaling. Inhale, switch, exhale. This is a very calming breath for the nervous system, bringing balance to different channels of the body, stimulating the energy centers along the spine. Make your breaths long and powerful. Drawing your breath in until you're full, pausing to switch, and then releasing until you're empty. Take 3 more rounds of breath in this way. After your next exhale, release both hands down, keeping your gaze closed. And just take some normal breaths, noticing any sensations, noticing how you feel. We're going to make our way back into a child's pose position. Feel free to support the knees with a blanket. Bringing your hands forward, your hips back towards your heels, resting your forehead down on something. Take a moment and wiggle the hips side to side, wiggle your forehead side to side. You might take the palms together in front of you, bending the elbows. Bring the thumbs to the space behind your neck. Maybe walking your elbows a little further forward. Take one more inhale. And then reach your hands forward. Army crawl yourself onto your belly. Bring your legs back behind you. Bring your arms out long, kind of a Superman position. And we're going to bend that left elbow and knee out to the side so the inside of your elbow and the inside of your knee are towards the ground. And then just bring your right cheek to rest on the ground. And do whatever feels good to you on your right side. If you want to bend that right arm, bring your hand by your side, whatever feels good. Just take a few deep breaths here. Let that left hip get really heavy. We're going to turn this pose now into a twist. So coming back up with your upper body, leaving your lower body where it is. Coming into a Sphinx pose where you're on your forearms, just lifting your chest up a little bit. Press into that left hand to lift up that left elbow. Bring your right hand to thread underneath that left elbow. So your arms are coming into an L shape, and you can walk your hands away from each other and stay here on that right shoulder. Or you might reach that right hand out towards that left side a little bit more.
Let your hip roll up and then back behind you and start to open your heart up towards the ceiling. Maybe you bring your left hand to your heart. Maybe you extend that arm out to the side so the arms are in a T. Dogs can make excellent props. Take a few deep belly breaths here. Take one more inhale. And then as you exhale, we'll slowly circle back around, rolling back onto your belly, coming back into that Sphinx pose with your upper body, and extending both legs long back behind you, and we're going to switch sides. So extending the whole body up long in that Superman position, bending that right elbow and knee, and turning your left ear on the mat. Just taking a few breaths here, letting that right hip get heavy, let it get rounded. And then bringing your hands back in, coming back onto your forearms, into that Sphinx pose. Pressing into that right hand, lifting that right elbow so that you can get that left arm underneath. And you might stay on that left shoulder, bringing your arms out into an L shape. Or maybe you start to roll onto your back, circling that right arm around, maybe bringing the arms into a T or bringing your hand to your heart. And just taking several belly breaths here. Take one more breath here. And then as you exhale, circle that arm around, come back onto your belly, extend that right leg back behind you. We're going to roll onto the back body. However you'd like to get there, if you want to come upright first, grabbing a prop or a pillow for your head or for under your knees, feel free to set yourself up so that you're comfortable. We're going to come into our final resting pose. So wherever that is for you, maybe that's sitting up, maybe that's flat on your back, maybe that's heart opening over a bolster. If you've got a couch nearby, this one could be nice, where you bring your legs up, your hips right up close to the couch. It's a little energy reversal pose, using gravity and the breath. Take one more good sighing breath. Take a deep breath in. Sigh that breath out really audibly. And then just let go of controlling the breath. Just let it flow however it does naturally. Let go of controlling the thoughts. And allow your mind to wander. Sit back and observe as if you were watching yourself breathing from a few feet away. There's nothing more to do, nothing to accomplish. For just a couple more minutes, give yourself this gift of stillness, where nothing is expected of you. This is your time to just be.